What's up, YouTube? This is Bison X9, guys. It's that time of year again. I'm coming to you with my latest Banlist prediction video. I usually release my Banlist prediction videos about a month away from when the Banlist is supposed to drop. The next one is coming to come out around December 15th, 2020. Now, to be very honest, the last Banlist, I think a lot of people predicted quite a few cards getting hit. While there were a few other cards that I think took us by surprise and kind of really weren't the best idea for Konami to really do on the list. Yeah, I'm talking about Called by the Grave going to 1. We'll talk about this when we get to that card. To be very honest, went through the meta, I found cards that needed to be addressed, and to be honest, I think I have a very good solid list. So let's get right into the things. I'm going to start off with my band selections, and the first card on it is Dragonbuster Destruction Sword. Now, when I first talked about this card, maybe in a few other groups I'm part of, a lot of people turn around and kind of said I was kind of coming hard on the Dragon Link deck because I hit this card plus one other card. I'll discuss a little bit later. To be very honest, Dragonbuster Destruction Sword isn't just a hit against Dragon Link. This card can be utilized in any Dark Attribute or Dragon type deck. I've been seeing it being splashed in PK Fire decks a lot less recently. I know I can splash it into almost anything that runs Darks. So yes, in my opinion, this card is just a little bit too splashable, and with the access of Union Carrier, it'll be just too easy to get it onto the field to lock your opponent out of their extra deck, just preventing them from playing the game, and that's not very healthy for the game. This card needs to be banned and dealt with. Speaking of which, we are also going to be talking about number S0, Utopia 0. This card, initially, when it first came out, wasn't that big of an issue, primarily because it took a lot more resources to get it onto the field. Nowadays, with the Numeron engine, it's just too easy to drop this card in one turn, and just being able to shut your opponent down from doing anything during the turn, it's not fair. It makes the Numeron engine just too powerful. And with that, Utopia Zexal needs to go. I mean, Numeron engine ending with Zexal is just too powerful, but when you turn around and look at it utilizing into other decks that can make Xyz monsters, it's not that bad of a card, of an engine. So yes, remove Zexal, and I think the Numeron engine is fine. Next card I have going to be banned is Chrystron Hack Refurbacks. A lot of people are thinking this card or Link Cross would be banned. To be very honest, I've been looking at both cards individually, not just both together, because a lot of times you see Link Cross coming in after Hack Refurbacks. When you analyze Link Cross, it's just an extender. To be very honest, when you summon it, it creates the tokens. The tokens can either be utilized as tributes for summoning or effects, or then you have to synchro summon with them. And to be very honest, since it limits your rolls to few lines of play, I don't think Link Cross is that bad. I say we leave it alone for one more format. If it's still an issue, we get rid of it on the next ban list. But Hacker for Vex needs to go. It's a combo starter as well as a combo extender. With that being said, it just alters deck building too much, and for me, I just had enough of seeing the synchro engine being crammed into so many different things. It needs to be removed from the game, especially with other cards that probably will be coming off the list. I just don't want to see it being utilized as an extender in those decks. The other card I referred to back when I was talking about Dragonbuster would be Guard Dragon LP. This card is banned in the OCG, and primarily it got banned because of the Dragon Link deck. I just feel special summoning from the deck, even though Lashing into Dragons, it's just too powerful of a card. And it just needs to be removed from the game. I think putting this card at 0 just puts the Guard Dragon engine in check, and it just takes that away from the Dragon Link. Dragon Link is still a very powerful deck, even without needing to utilize LP and other Guard Dragons. So definitely, I say this is a fair hit. And to be very honest, the last card I have on my ban list is going to be Smoke Grenade of the Thief. This card's been utilized in the Infernal Noble Knight decks since they were released, and it just is not that fair of a card. It's an older card. It was never really meant to be utilized in this fashion, to basically be constantly swiping cards out of your opponent's hands and basically hand looping. And Konami's done a very good job at removing cards that can hand loop your opponent, and I think removing this card from the game is just fair. Now going on into the limits, I'm putting Miscellaneous Source at 1, primarily because I don't think banning the card is justified, in my opinion. I think if you just reduce the consistency of the dinosaur decks, they can still get their one single turn uninterrupted and build their board, and then play from there. Without multiple miscellaneous sources, it just takes away the ability for the deck to really recover, and it makes the deck a little bit more glass cannon-y. So I think that's, in my opinion, is a lot fairer than just banning the card. So I say put miscellaneous source at 1, and alongside it, I'm also saying Soul Eating Overraptor. Like I said, reducing the consistency of the deck, I think, is the most fair thing to do with this. Putting this card at 1, not that bad, because this card can single-handedly get the deck going. And when you start adding in being able to get into Miscellaneous Source, yes, you need to utilize certain resources to get to Overraptor, to get to Miscellaneous Source, so that the playline becomes a little bit more linear, and it gives the dinosaur player a lot less options or branches to really function with. So I think both Miscellaneous Source and Soul Eating Overraptor to 1 would definitely be worth it. With Hacker Feedbacks going to 0, I say we can bring back both Glow Bulb and Jet Synchron to 1 each. I didn't put Mecha Phantom Beast Online or Steam the Cloak or Destrudo on this list, primarily because Destrudo is just too splashable in a lot of different decks, and I don't think it's very fair card just to have that generic of an extender. And both Olion and Steam are token generators, and Konami has done a great job with dealing with token generator cards and keeping them out of play from being used. I just feel both Glow Bulb and Jet Synchron are the fairest coming back. Keeping them both at 1 would be the best idea, especially when Hacker for Bex is just gone. Alright, next up, Pendulum Skull back Joker. I think this coming back to 1 would be the best idea. Keeping it at 1, I know, it gives the Pendulum Magician deck a little bit of a boost, but it doesn't do it that much because you're only getting 1 copy. 1 Ash Blossom or an Effect Veiler or any effect negations would definitely shut this card down and basically render it a dead card on summon. So not a bad idea to bring this card back to 1 and just keep it at 1. To show a little bit more love for the Pendulum R-Type, we are getting Metal Foes support in Blazing Vortex, which comes out next year. Bringing back Heavy Foes Electromite is not a bad idea, just to give that Pendulum R-Types, and even the Metal Foe R-Type, just a little bit more of a boost to help push shells. I mean, this is not a bad idea, and personally, I don't think both Heavy Metal Foes Electromite and Hacker for Bex in the meta at the same time is a good idea. So I would much rather have Electromite than Hacker for Bex in the game, and my personal opinion, I think this hit to 0 was too heavy of a hit. So bringing this back down to 1 would be fair. If this card gets negated or even popped with Ghost Ogre, your opponent's going to have a hard-pressed time. So that being said, to 1, it's fair. And the last card on my limited list is going to be Magical Meltdown. I'm not going to be touching the other engines in this game without touching the Invoked engine. Magical Meltdown, the 1 I think is the most fair, and a lot of players do agree with that. Just being able to search out your Alistair, which then can allow you to go into your invocation, it just isn't good. Trying to cut down the consistency of that engine, not a bad idea, and personally, System 1 does make sense. Going down to my semi-limits, Call by the Grave. This card was put to 2 at the last OCG list. I think that's fair. Putting this card to 1, I think, was much more of a money grab than anything else on the part of TCG player Konami, and I personally don't like it. You're taking away a budget option to deal with hand traps, and it just isn't fair to a lot of different players, especially when you're not giving us the cards like Crossout Designator in a lot of sets. Speaking of Crossout Designator, it was recently revealed that it was going to be in the Ice Barrier structure deck, so we're going to have to cross our fingers to maybe hope that we might see that card in that deck. I mean, would be a great way to actually introduce a card. They can make it an ultra rare or a super rare or whatever, and then yeah, it will sell the deck by itself. All right, going down again to hit the consistency of the dinosaur decks, putting Fossil Dig down to 2 is not a bad idea. Like I said, this Soul Eating Overraptor as well as Miscellaneous Source, it just allows the recursion and the explosiveness to be tamed down, and it's still a powerful deck. If you do get the pieces to go into your plays uninterrupted, you can get your board. So you know what? Definitely, this is something I would say put it to 2, leave it alone, and be done with it. Next up, I am still advocating for Skyscraper Mecha Modules multi-roll. It's semi-limited in OCG. I believe it should be semi-limited here in the TCG. The deck is missing a lot of its grind game. Yes, I do know it does have the ability to get into top cuts. I know the last LCS, it was in the top, I think, 32, but when it went down to the top 16, all 5 of the Skyscraper decks were eliminated. So, yeah, the deck definitely does need its grind game. Putting this card back to 2 wouldn't be the worst idea at all, just to help the deck get going. And speaking of which, just to give Warrior decks in general a little bit of a boost, this card just recently got a reprint in Maximum Gold. Let's push this card up to 2. With this card at 2, it probably might flush out a few more problems that we might not be seeing in the game, and we could deal on the next ban list. Because in my personal opinion, I think this card at 2 would definitely be just great for any generic Warrior decks out there. You don't need to put it at 3. 2 is fine. I think 1 is just too stifling. And getting certain problems out of the game, not a bad idea. Well, my Unlimited Dynamite Knight, the True Rectifier, this card is unlimited in OCG. There's no reason to put this card at 1 or keep this card at 1 when Diagram is at 1 itself. Konami needs to bring this card back down to 3, give the Draco decks extra bodies to play with. The deck will be fine. Now, this is the one card that I kind of went bounced back and forth between my semi-limited and unlimited, primarily because of what we're getting here in the TCG. That's why I put it to the unlimited status. Basically because we have mutants in the game, and mutants, the primary starter cards are all low-level psychic types, and this card will just boost that deck to no means. Plus, we're getting the Metalfoes support type, and Metalfoes are psychic type, so having this card around at multiples, not a bad idea. And I think putting this card at 3 would definitely help push the mutant deck a little bit better. That being said, to help address a lot of graveyard-dependent decks, I am putting Macrocosmos down to 3. It's at 3 over in the OCG. I think we'll be fine here in the TCG at 3 as well to help combat a lot of graveyard-dependent decks, and this basically remove those cards from play and keep those decks in check. To be very honest, this card at 3 would definitely be a very big boon to help counter a lot of graveyard-specific decks. Okay, that being said, guys, that is it for my ban list predictions for the December 15th, 2020 ban list. Guys, if I missed anything, let me know down in the comment section below what you think of my list and whether or not what cards should be hit, what cards shouldn't be hit. Covered a lot of different decks here, and I think I have a very good, strong deck that really help address the current issues in the meta. That being said, check out the description box below. Find the invite link to my Discord server. Join a conversation. We'd love to have you. Find the links to my affiliates, TCGplayer.com, as well as SideDeckVersus.com. Great resources for any Yu-Gi-Oh player. And as always, guys, like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any uploads. Until next time, guys. Peace.